Okay, we are live.
Hey y'all, welcome to Hack Shack Studios. That's not a good. Welcome to Hack Shack Studios. Hi, RT Bear here, 35-year veteran in the comics industry, this wacky comics industry that we know and love. I have done so many things, mainly for Marvel DC, characters like Spider-Man, Superman, Batman, X-Men, Fantastic Four.
Ooh.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And a slew. I'm going to use slew of creator-owned books, such as Black and White, Chrono Mechanics, and as always, studio mate, major talent.
Oh, stop.
So you got like a heavenly voice for these things. Taylor Grosso, how you doing, Taylor?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Art.
Oh, also, she's the co-writer of one of those creator-owned books, Black and White.
It's a pleasure working on Black and White with you and also being in the studio.
Co-writer. Woo.
I'll be here reading your guys' chat if you want to chime in. There is a reason we do these things live.
Yeah, so we can hang out with yous guys. So we got some stuff to share with you, some things to talk about. I'm going to be trying to get some pages done. I actually have page 51 here that I'm going to be tightening up a little bit in pencils and inking. Should we show them?
Yeah, let's check it out.
Let's check it out.
Whoa!
Whoa, this is page 51.
What's happening here?
What isn't happening? Did I tell you, Taylor? See this guy's head right here?
I do see his head.
In the previous page that I haven't drawn yet, Whitney may have decapitated him.
Oh no!
So I think this head should be over here somewhere.
That's a good idea.
And then we'll do like a slew of like green
Robo blood.
robo blood.
When did we decide to make the robot blood green?
I don't know. It's kind of like radiator green, right? It's like
Yeah,
that
like
kind of
radiator
bright
fluid.
Radiator fluid, yeah.
Antifreeze.
Antifreeze. I don't know, something like that.
I forgot that when Whitney fights, it's a good thing that these aren't human beings because she aims to kill.
Yeah, no quarter. No quarter given. Yeah, so his head will be over here somewhere.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, so they just kind of annihilated these finely dressed robots.
They're like are they a full on team in this scene? Looks like there's some tension.
They're kind of Black and White?
Yeah.
Or Reed Blackett, aka Black, and Whitney Sung, aka White. Yeah. I think they feel like they got the upper hand here.
I
think they feel. I'm not real sure. It's not like I'm coming up with the story with Taylor's help at all. So I'm not sure what these guys are up to.
You guys will have to read it to find out. And the link, as always, is in the description. It's in demand right now.
It's in demand right now. So we have the Spider-Man trailer we're going to talk a little bit about. And then we have something very, very special. Ooh. And we have been I guess we're always multitasking, but
especially now.
Yeah, we're looking into other avenues to bring the fabulous Black and White to other medias, such as film and television.
Maybe a streaming service?
So we have a marketing. We've been hanging out with marketing research people. And we're doing market research for to bring Black and White to a streaming service. So we have what the industry calls a rip reel that we will be showing you guys in a bit. So
and this is the first we've shown to anybody too. I don't think this has really been posted around publicly.
No, I think they gave us permission. I think their market research is done, so now we can show it off. It's kind of cool, and it's neat to see Black and White in possibly another, I don't know, way of looking at it, way of doing it, different medium.
Yeah, it's a kind of a cinematic story, and I think it would do well in still a we always talk about streaming services because, you know, comics, kind of episodic type things, but also kind of streaming services series are getting a little bit more cinematic, a little more long form while still being serialized, which is pretty cool. It's kind of like comics.
Well, I really feel that streaming services, streaming channels are going to be the wave of the future. I don't think Disney would be putting that kind of energy and time into a streaming service if it wasn't. A lot of new shows and things are coming out of these. It's a couple characters that Taylor really likes in Star Wars, and they're going to have their own show. What is that show called?
The Mandalorian?
Possibly.
That looks pretty cool.
It does look really cool, and that's our buddy Jon Favreau.
He's a good one. That old chestnut.
That old knucklehead. We
got a P Money in the chat. He says, "Hey guys, I finally made a chat on time. What are we discussing?"
What are we not discussing? I'm bringing together page 50. I'm going reverse. 51, not 15, of Black and White for you guys. And we have the new Spider-Man trailer to show off and talk about. And we have a special treat. It's called a rip reel. So it's kind of like a movie trailer. And they use it for market research. So we signed with a market research company to formulate some data for Black and White as a potential streaming show.
And they came to art interested, which is pretty cool. We didn't have to go on the search for them.
There was no begging. There was no pleading.
They wanted to pick the mind.
My knees are clean.
So, we're saving that for a little later, so stick around. We will play that. It'll be the first time we've shown that.
Did I tell you they were, they're talking with, the marketing company is trying to partner with Rob Liefeld as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, to do some of his creator-owned stuff.
Interesting. I guess, getting into all those old Extreme Studios titles would be pretty neat. We always say in here, the fan base for Black and White has persisted long since the original run of the book. And if you were an original fan of that book, definitely reach out. I think it would be really cool to get the perspective of some of the fans that have been around for forever.
Yeah, you guys.
So
yeah, that's basically in a nutshell what we're gonna do. I'm gonna be working and just hanging out with you guys, and Taylor will be reading the chat.
Yeah, keep us company. Keep chatting in here.
Keep it coming, love.
Yes, like the song.
Like the song.
Don't stop it now.
Don't stop believing. Hold on to the feeling. So, do you want to show the spider?
Yeah, let's get into Spider-Man. Before I start this, before we click this, hey, Pixel Trader's here.
Pixel.
Before we start this video, keep in mind, there will be spoilers if you have not seen Endgame. This trailer itself had a warning before that, but just to save time, I've clicked ahead. So if you have not seen Endgame and you don't want to get spoiled, click out of this for just a few minutes. Maybe just mute the video so you don't have to hear anything. Scroll down. Don't leave. We still want you here. So that's your warning. 3, 2, 1.
Everywhere I go, I see his face. Just really miss him.
You can't help it. It's painted on everything. Sorry.
I don't think Tony would have done what he did if he didn't know that you were going to be here after he was gone.
Do you think those actors, they squirt lemon juice into their eyes to make them all red like that?
Make them look all teary.
You going to be the next Iron Man?
Well, no, I don't have time. I'm too busy doing your job.
Whoa.
I'm kidding. Look, keep up the good work because I am going on vacation.
Oh, fun.
Heads up. Nick Fury's calling you.
I don't really want to talk to Nick
Answer
Fury.
his phone.
Why?
Because if you don't talk to him, then I have to talk. I don't want to talk to him. You sent Nick Fury to voicemail?
I gotta go.
You do not ghost Nick Fury.
What up, Marks? What's up? We're just talking about the trip.
I'm here in St. Marco Polo. Oh, I think MJ really likes me. Reminds me when I first fell in love. You're a very difficult person to contact, Spider-Man.
That's where the trailer takes a turn.
This is Mr. Beck.
We could use someone like you on my world.
Your world, Beck, is from Earth, just not ours. Snap to our hole in our dimension.
You're saying there's a multiverse?
We have a job to do. You're coming with us.
There's gotta be someone else you can use. What about Thor?
Off-world.
Captain Marvel? Unavailable. But I'm just a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Bitch, please. You've been to space.
Whoa, language.
Peter. I want to go back on that trip with the girl who I really like and tell her how I feel. MJ,
I am Spider-Man.
no, of course not.
I mean, it's kind of obvious.
You're right. You may
To
not
who?
be ready. It's my responsibility. Saving the world requires sacrifice.
Well, I mean, it is obvious now.
That he was gone for 5 years and then came back.
Well, both school trips she's went on, Spider-Man has shown up, and he's never left New York prior to that.
Nonsense. There's no way she could figure it out.
Time to step up.
Be like, why is he always here?
Get you guys out of here! You're legit! Who are you? I work with Spider-Man. You work for Spider-Man? I work with Spider-Man, not for Spider-Man. New plan.
So there it is.
I like it.
What do you think, Art? What are your initial feelings about the trailer?
My initial feelings of the trailer is I like it. I like Jon Favreau. I like the dynamics with him and the kid. The multiverse ideas. I'm a little trepidatious about.
I can agree with that.
I thought the time travel elements in Endgame were fairly disappointing, and I think they were fairly troublesome. So I don't know where they're going or what they have planned, but based on Endgame, I'm not real sure. How about you?
Yeah, I definitely echo your concerns about Marvel breaking into multiverse stuff cinematically. We talked about it in our last Hacks chat, where we kind of broke down Endgame. I guess it was more of like a wrap up of Endgame, and how that kind of has strange repercussions for movies that take place after Endgame. And this movie, I think, has some weirdness about it, hinting at those aspects. I definitely want to see it. It comes out the day after my birthday, so maybe I'll see it then. I don't know. How do you feel hype-wise for Marvel movies since Endgame has subsided?
Seriously? I feel a little betrayed, I think, by Endgame. I'm not sure I fully liked it. How about you?
I agree. I think as more time has passed since we went and saw it, I've been maybe a little bit more harsh, like reflecting upon it, and I feel like it's made me less hyped about Marvel movies that have come after now. I know there haven't really been any, but like I haven't been hyped up like I was, I guess, like I was for Homecoming. Let's see. Oh, P Money says, I admit I really can't wait for Black and White to get to my house.
Oh, cool.
We're glad that you're enthused.
We're closing in.
We are. And by the way, it is in demand right now. You can find the link in the description, but it's not going to stay that way forever. So don't wait too long if you haven't gotten your copy yet. We're not going to be keeping this up for a whole lot longer.
Yeah, the summer months will see an end, and then we'll start getting into fulfillment aspects of the book to get it into your hands. So we are closing in.
And we'll announce the official end date as we close in on it. But we are, it's within sight now, so don't wait too long if you haven't gotten your copy yet.
Yes.
And
yes, indeed.
And if you guys haven't looked at the campaign in a while, I'm going to show you guys something. So, Here's the campaigns we stand right now. And we added a new perk for the original art collectors right here. And this is from page 54. The final page of the book.
Yeah, the last page.
We can't show you the full art for page 54 because obviously it'll give away the ending of the book. But this patch, you see the two heroes in their costumes here. They're suits, rather. They're not really costumes. They're more armor. You can get both of them as the patch art. And I have it if you want to show them art.
Oh, cool.
So this is it.
Is this going to spoil anything?
I don't think so.
Just in case.
Should be just them. Good idea. So hold on, let me get over there so you guys can check this out. Okay, yeah, there we go. No spoilers. That is the piece that is available.
Yes, and I think what we're going to do is this one
Ooh.
is going to be available
soon.
soon.
So that'll go up too if you guys are interested. That's a big piece of artwork, actually.
This is panel 1 from page 53.
So you can own this piece too. We've been listing them all separate. They are full patches. Ooh.
Is it in focus still?
Yes, look at those inking effects, you guys. Pretty cool. That could be yours. Get your frames ready.
It's animated.
Ooh. Click off that to avoid spoilers. So yeah, we've been putting those up for sale. If you're a fledgling or a experienced original art collector, you can get yourself some black and white original art there.
Yes.
Let's see. P Money says, I have to give credit to Samuel L. Jackson. This movie will mean that he has played his superhero character in more films than anyone else, including Hugh Jackman and Robert Downey Jr. I didn't think about that. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah. I think there's multiple Sam Jacksons. I think there's more than one.
I mean, he hasn't aged since Pulp Fiction. He looks the same.
And he does like 2-3 movies a year.
Because isn't he going to be in the Shaft movie too? He's in like a lot of movies at the same time.
He's in everything. No one gives that guy too much credit. Like
we need to get him in black and white.
he could be gray.
That would be funny, actually. Give him a good thrashing, my boy.
My boy, he's got a British accent.
Pixel Trader says you're closing in on SDCC too.
San Diego Comic-Con. I don't know, man. Those plans always come together last minute for me.
Are you planning on going this year?
Like I said, it always comes together last minute.
Still up in the air.
I got my hands in the air like I just don't care.
Never Cold is here. He says, black don't crack, yo. That's true. Pixel Trader says, I just picked up frames for the pages I bought.
Ooh, cool.
I think it's always cool when people frame the original artwork rather than keeping it like a big portfolio. I like keeping them in a big portfolio, but I like when they're on the walls so everybody can see. Pixel says, though Clark Gregg has more screen time as Coulson. Is that true? Because he's been gone for a while.
I don't know if... Do you count the TV show?
I would think not. I would think just the movies and stuff, right?
I don't
know. Spidey just happens to show up overseas. Let's see what you guys are talking about here. Also, I know Comic-Con Revolution is coming up. Is that in 2 weeks?
I think they just sent me an ad. I think it's 10 days from today. So Taylor and I will be there.
And that's in Ontario. If you guys are inclined, it's a good show. You said that you enjoyed it, right?
It's a great local show, yeah. And all the local artists support that show.
So come on down to Comic-Con Revolution. It's going to be a good time.
had by all.
I don't think I've ever actually been to that convention center before, but I heard it's pretty nice.
It's if you ever went to the Long Beach show, it's run by the same guy that ran that for a couple years.
Ontario.
And he's really good.
Sorry, Ontario, California. Asked the chat. Yes, Ontario, California, not Canada or anywhere else. If I was not clear, let me see. Spines BRCs. Yeah, it's been gosh, how long has it been since Endgame came out? It feels like it's been forever, but I guess it really hasn't.
A couple weeks.
And if you guys go back and watch our initial thoughts, I don't think they've changed too much. We were pretty in that video. Not that we were critical, but it seemed like people had some difficulty determining the time frame of the movie, like at where it left the Marvel universe in and of itself.
Well, I still don't know really where it's at, to be honest.
I'm not certain either.
Because I don't know. It said 5 years later, so is it 5 years later from that time? And if that time was our time, then are they 5 years into the future?
Yeah, I don't know.
Our future.
Because it would be, what, 2020... I'm trying to think of what time frame it would be. 2024? The date? They don't really say anything. Pixel Trader says 2 weeks. I'm assuming you're talking about the convention and not the time frame of Endgame.
2 weeks from now, Endgame.
They're 2 weeks in the future. Let's see. Yes, not in Canada, in California.
Ontario, eh?
By the way, you guys, I feel like we don't really mention this enough, but if you're an aspiring artist and you would like to get a portfolio review, the link for that is in the description as well.
Yeah, I've been wanting to do that again soon. It just takes a lot of time.
And focus, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm really trying to close in on getting this book done.
Everything we've been doing lately is black and white comes first. So these chats and stuff are ideal because we continue to work while talking to you guys.
There's been a little eating, a little sleeping, and a lot of drawing and writing.
Not a lot of sleeping. There was a night, gosh, like a couple nights ago, where Art sent me a message, and I think it was like 4:43 a.m.
Was it?
Yes.
I'm losing all sense of time, and
I thought you went to bed because you hadn't replied in a while. I was like, oh, he was working the whole time.
the reason I
It
don't
might have been 5. No, I think it was 4:53 or something.
Yeah, the reason sometimes, and I'm sorry that I don't get back to you sooner.
Oh, I
It's
understand.
because I just get caught up in drawing, and I forget to check stuff.
Well, that's what I knew instantly. I was like, oh, he was working that whole time.
But what were you doing up?
Working, but still. It actually, it kind of inspired me, because I didn't, I think I went to bed. I went to bed 4 and I saw that in the morning. But then the next night I stayed up working on page 36, and I was like, I have to at least stay up till 5 because I know that Art was up till 5.
That's the good thing about having a partner.
Yeah, it kind of boosted my morale.
Yeah, you kind of push each other.
I was like, if he can do it, I can do it.
You guys should see, she's doing all the, she's taking my layouts on, my loose layouts on 36, and she's bringing them all together, and she's doing all the tech research and stuff. And if I haven't said it, Taylor, it's coming out quite good.
Thank you, and thank you for being so patient and helping me get this right.
No, it's coming along really well. I'm very proud of that page. I thought it, and this has nothing to do with you, but it was one of the weaker pages, or one of the pages I wasn't as strong about, or didn't feel as good about when we wrote it. And now I think it's one of the stronger pages.
It's a totally added page too, you guys. This is not a page that existed prior to this. And actually, the page we're working on now didn't exist prior to this either. I guess
There's a panel,
that's about it.
but it's all redrawn. It's like a panel that's inspired by, but it's not the same.
I mean, as you guys can see now,
Let me see if I can find it.
oh, it's changed so much. Like, I don't even know if it'd be that recognizable. I can't remember if it'd be. Is it an issue?
It's
Two?
issue 2. Yeah, it's right here.
Look at that. So you can see the idea of it existed there.
So this is kind of the remastering. So it does pay tribute and it does harken back to it, but it's totally different.
Nevercold says, how much are the pages?
The pages for sale?
I don't think we put up a full page for sale yet, right? We're mostly putting up
In the-
patches.
Yeah, right now, but when we first launched the campaign, we had pages available.
That's right.
And then when we streamlined it down, when it went in demand, we pulled some of those. If you want original pages, like original pages, just private message me, just DM me.
And you can always contact via the original art site if you're unsure what social media to reach out on. There is a contact form on artbytbear.com. The link is in the description, and that is the Art's original art site where you can find a ton of pages available there. No black and white pages listed, but yeah, if you're interested, you can always contact through there.
Yeah, I'm never going to make those pages available on a site like that. But if you contact me, we could work something out.
And if you are interested in original art in general, there is a sale going on right now till the end of the month, till the 31st, when Star Wars Land opens, Galaxy's Edge. We are having a sale on there where if you spend $100, you get a free Spider-Man print. And I believe 3 of those come with a remark included. So you have till the end of the month to get in on that deal.
Yeah. And we've shipped a couple of those orders out already. So if you guys ordered some of the original artwork, those have shipped, I believe.
Oh, cool.
Or are in process of being shipped. Pamela's on top of it. It's my wife, and she handles that side of it as well as editing and keeping
Us in
Taylor and I in
check.
check because somebody has to.
She's been a really, really big integral part of this project.
I don't know if you guys know that Taylor just flies off the handle a lot.
I can't help myself.
Yeah, she's just crazed with energy.
I was like, White has to kill people in this book. How else are we going to say she's on a villain's journey?
That's true.
And Art was like, well, she's still the hero. We got to not do that. And
But
you'll have to read the book to find out what happens.
But we did it anyway.
I mean...
Because I have no control here.
I mean, she kills a lot of robots. We kind of talked in the last Hacks chat that Whitney's pitch is pretty much that she's on, like, the cusp of damnation. Like, she's on a villain's journey before Reed steps in.
Yeah, it very easily... Well, you'll just have to read the story. She still might end up in the villain's journey.
Yeah, the ending might shock you, actually.
Yeah, we're not saying that she's above it.
It is a 2-part story, you guys, so keep that in mind as well.
And if Reed's anything like me and or Taylor and I's relationship, he can be corrupted. Because obviously I have no say here.
That is not true.
It's totally true.
P-Money says Ant-Man didn't return until 5 years later, and people are trying to work out the math about Endgame right now. Don't forget the time between Infinity War and the ending of Endgame was 28 days, according to the movie, and then 5 years on top of that.
Yeah, it's like yeah, and the thing is too, if you can go back in time, you can do all that stuff. What kind of a-hole is Steve Rogers? Like, he didn't go back and resurrect Tony Stark or anything.
Yeah, we were talking about this yesterday. Like, what's to stop them from using that time travel now? Like, that everything's set, they could still use it.
Yeah, they didn't dismantle the time travel device or anything like that, so time travel is still they're still capable of that in the Marvel universe, unless I saw a different movie.
But they're not going to use it for Tony.
Well, yeah, they're not going to use it for Tony, and also without any kind of rules set up, they could do anything they want with that. Like, and the thing is, time travel, I'm sorry, anybody who begs to differ, it's the most powerful power you could have.
Definitely.
Like, if you can travel through time, especially willy-nilly, like the way they make it seem like you can do in the Avengers universe, then nothing matters. Nothing means anything, because they could just undo anything.
Yeah, where's the stakes of anything really going? Like, any mistake can be undone.
Any death, any mistake, anything.
Except Gamora.
Yeah, because the snap, like, I understand that rule, because anybody who died in the snap is gone. So I do understand that.
Well, because hers was like the magic of the stone, right?
Wait, is it the snap, or is it the stone?
I know what you meant, like the stone.
Yeah.
Which they don't explain that either. Hawkeye just kind of says it can't be undone. It can't be undone. So I guess it can't be undone.
So the snap can be undone, but for the soul stone or whatever that thing was, it cannot be.
Which, now that you brought that up, isn't that kind of weird? Because, like, the stones were used for the snap. How come that can be undone and gone back to, but not using one stone? That almost makes that soul stone seem more powerful than the Infinity Gauntlet, where in order to get it, you make an unredoable thing. I don't know. That's kind of strange.
Oh, I always thought the time stone was the most important stone. They can do anything with it. And the thing is, the Marvel Universe always had that, because didn't what's his face have it? Doctor Strange? Oh
yeah, he did. Man, this would be a good chrono mechanics story if they got a hold of the time stone.
They can go in time back and forth willy-nilly all in their own trucks. Like
imagine though if they found out some rogue wizard had a piece of the machine. They're like, we need to get it back. You can't be safeguarding it like this.
The cool thing I think about the chrono mechanics is they have these time packs, right? So they have Ghostbusters packs.
Ooh.
But they have limited time jumps with the time pack, and I always thought, and keep in mind, chrono mechanics is a funny idea. It's not supposed to be taken seriously, but if you could just jump back maybe 3 minutes, that could be so hilarious.
I mean, that'll make a big difference in whatever scenario you're doing.
Well, if you stub your toe, you could just go back 3 minutes before you stub your toe and not stub your toe. You know what I mean? You could do all kinds of weird, funny things with it.
We were talking about it recently, about the trappings of stories that involve time travel, and how everybody's trepidation of dealing with time travel is there's a lot that can go wrong, and there's a lot of stuff that can cause plot holes in movies. Everybody points out how difficult it is to handle time travel because it creates paradoxes. There's all these rules. But chrono mechanics is pretty much purely about all of those things going wrong because they're repairmen. So they would be dealing with all of that stuff. They're kind of working with what doesn't work in the rules of time travel, which is an interesting way to deal with it.
Yeah, the reason we talk about chrono mechanics a lot is it's possibly going to be a future book that we're going to be putting out. I have something here.
And if you guys haven't checked it out, there's I should be linking it in the description. I always tell you guys, but there is an official chrono mechanics website, chronomechanics.com. If you're curious about that world, that's Art's other indie project from what was it, from the early 2000s?
Yeah, here's a pamphlet. My wife found these the other day.
They're pretty cool, I think.
I thought they were cool. I don't know if you guys know, Mike S. Miller used to have a publishing company, and Chrono was published through Mike Miller's company, Alias. And so
That's right.
this was a big San Diego promotional push for the book. And so I came up with these pamphlets. My friend Dan put it together for me. But it was kind of like, this was basically, it was a discount coupon. If you pre-ordered the book, you could get $1 off of the cover.
Pretty cool.
And so that's what this was. But we thought we'd make it funnier, like it's just this little brochure. So you can read all this. Bored with your comics? Time for change. Get it? Do you long for fun, action, adventure, time travel?
I do.
Big bosom damsels in distress?
Always.
Then, dun 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 dun. Then, Hack Studios and A-List Enterprises wants you to read the greatest comic book of all time. And it is the greatest comic book, second only to Black and White. So can you guys see this?
Pretty cool.
So this was like a little fun introduction to Chrono Mechanics. So these are the diverse individuals that get pulled through time, like through their timelines, and then they're transformed, kind of like Captain Marvel, into Chrono Mechanics.
And Chrono Inc. They can recruit from any timeline, hence the diversity of those dudes.
Yeah, Chrono Inc. is a corporation, a company that's been entrusted to regulate and repair time, because everyone knows time is literally a big machine.
Now, how would Chrono Inc. feel about the shenanigans pulled in Endgame?
I don't know if they would be able to make heads or tails out of it either.
You know what's funny? I was thinking that Hulk in that last movie kind of looked like Oot. That Professor Hulk that they had
Yeah, it
kind of looked like him.
So yeah, here's the
Oh, nice.
the
Turns
big-
into a poster.
the big poster.
Pretty cool.
They do more before the dawn of time than most people do all day. And then we had a second one. It's not just their job, it's an adventure.
Pretty cool.
So yeah, so you guys keep posted. We may be bringing this back soon.
And
That bad boy.
And definitely check out the Chrono Mechanics website. If you're curious about the world, you can kind of get a feel of the Chronoverse there.
Yeah, there's some fun stuff there. Taylor laid all that out. She did a great job.
That was the first website that Art and I built together, and I think we were pretty ambitious with that site.
Oh my gosh. I'll tell you right now, even like with this Black and White, being naive makes you do some fantastic stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it turned out really cool.
Yeah, but my gosh, could you imagine, like, if we were like, let's build another website? We would never do that much work.
We have there's like a slideshow at the top. We made like a blueprint schematic of like some of the tools the mechanics use. It's pretty cool. It's worth seeing. Definitely check it out.
I think one of the Chrono videos is actually on my YouTube.
Oh yeah, that's right. There's on this very channel, there's a video about Chrono Mechanics that kind of gives you the lowdown on what it's all about. P Money says, "I'm disappointed for not getting to see Rogers put back the Soul Stone. We didn't see him and Red Skull having an awkward encounter." Oh, that's true, because he was supposed to put all those stones back.
Oh, there's a lot of stuff that we didn't get to see. My thing is too, when Rogers went back, are there two Steve Rogers? Is there one still frozen in ice? And if so, did he lived long enough to be contemporary, because he comes back at the very end. So what happened to that other Captain America?
Yeah. I don't know.
See, this is why you don't do these things, Marvel. Jeez.
Yeah, there's a lot of weirdness there, isn't there?
Freaking rookie mistake. This is horrible. Like, I knew this stuff years ago. That's why Chrono Mechanics, it delves into time travel, but it's silly. It's fun.
I think you have to.
Well, if you're going to get into that kind of multifaceted stuff, like what they're trying to do, I don't know how you can not create paradoxes and weird stuff.
It's definitely a hard sandbox to play in, especially
A time box.
yeah, if you will. going into the shared universe after. I don't know. It's really weird. I feel like they kind of created a very strange scenario for themselves to work within.
Possibly created a paradox.
Yeah. I don't know. I just, from a storytelling standpoint, it's very weird. Like, and this whole, I don't know how long they're going to play this whole Tony's dead stance. Like, I guess it makes sense for Spider-Man to have to deal with that, but...
Well, when they did in the Spider-Man trailer we just watched, when they said, oh, you know, everywhere I look I see him, whatever. And I'm like, do we have to do this again in film? Like, that whole Superman death of thing was such a bad taste in everybody's mouth. Like, that just feels really... It doesn't feel good to me. I was like, I don't want to mourn another superhero's death.
Yeah, I'm not really into it either. I can agree with that one. Also, like, we didn't get to see the Uncle Ben stuff get played out. So it's like, Peter loses another father figure.
Well, that's weird too, because it wasn't that long ago that he lost his father, Uncle Ben.
Yeah.
And so we didn't even have that kind of melancholy with his uncle. Like,
Yeah.
isn't that supposed to be the big crux of the origin of Spider-Man?
He's like, I miss him, and it's, I don't know. It's strange. Pixel says, but how does Future Cap not get discovered at any point in the past 50 years? Did other Cap go on doing his stuff so he could come back in time?
Yeah, well, which Cap is which? Like, I don't know.
I don't either.
Is that... Because that one that came back seemed like he shared the same consciousness as the one that left. So I would assume that that's the Cap. But am I right? They existed at the same time? Like...
What happened to Frozen Cap?
That Cap and Frozen Cap. Because he had to go back before he was frozen because he had the shield.
Yeah, that's right. The shield puts a weird element into the whole scenario.
Because he was frozen with the shield. So the shield was down there frozen as well.
But in current time, we saw that shield is pretty much destroyed. So he couldn't have brought it from...
that time.
Yeah.
Unless he's bopping back and forth through all these different times and just saw that and went, hey, you know what?
I'm going to take this now.
And if so, these are all major cheats that should not exist.
Yeah, I don't know if it quite works. James Hayes says, I had to re-click the bell for notifications from this channel. They were turned off. It happens. Thanks, YouTube.
Yeah, give them the rundown of like, subscribe, hit the bell.
Yeah, like, subscribe, hit the bell, but always hit the bell for notifications. I know it doesn't seem like it's always working. That is definitely on YouTube's end. I know it's a struggle that everyone at the channel has to deal with lately. YouTube actually released a statement pretty much saying that they either don't care or that they don't know what's wrong. I actually got a notification recently from a channel I wasn't subscribed to, which was a really weird experience. But it does help the channel, and hopefully they get that all cleared up. And
yeah, I'm not getting my notices either.
I almost never do. But it does actually help boost the channel if you want to support. And hopefully they get that fixed ASAP, because I know it's kind of a universal problem, and liking the video helps boost our views, so definitely help us out there. Tell a friend if you know someone that's into comics, maybe you know an aspiring artist, tell them to check out the channel. I think if you're curious about getting your start, maybe watching a 35-year vet might be the place to begin. And you can also, we're live all the time, you can always ask questions here.
It definitely doesn't hurt.
No, it doesn't. It's not going to hurt you. Pixel Trader says that Captain America's actions, their actions splintered time. The Avengers created a multiverse.
Well, that's what they're hinting at, or not even hinting at. They actually said it in that Spider-Man Homecoming, or whatever it's called, Spider-Man Vacation. It's all of a sudden it's becoming like National Lampoon's Vacation.
Spider-Man's Christmas. I would like that, actually.
He has some like redneck family members
Aww.
that come by and stay with him and Aunt May.
I'd be on board for that.
Eat all their food.
There's no Harry Osborn in his series, right?
Not yet. I don't know, man. I'm not prepared for the multiverse. I'm telling you right now, if they don't bring the Fantastic Four in some kind of time vortex or some kind of multiverse way, and they have to date back in '64 or whenever the Marvel Universe was created. If they don't do that, Marvel doesn't do that, I'm out. Because I want to see. I know that they already did Captain America guy out of his time, you know, and they now Carol Danvers for some reason is the same thing. But man, I so want to see the Fantastic Four, like the retro Fantastic Four, like they left in the '60s,
That'd be cool.
and they got lost in some kind of vortex or time, and that they come back to our time or whatever is left of this Marvel universe, and so there's history of them leaving, you know, because it'll be all documented, like, you know, first family in space, you know, kind of thing. Like they'll become like kind of lost in space, like that kind of idea. Swiss Family Robinsons in space.
I'm on board for that.
And so then they come back, but get this, all that time, because Reed Richards is supposed to be the smartest guy in the Marvel Universe. So Reed Richards comes back with the vast knowledge of not just our world and the way things work, but the whole multiverse. Like, he understands all of this stuff. So then, you know, like, they have all these characters, like you always complain about, Taylor. Like, they all have these like major like science players. Like, they know all of this stuff, and they're so incredibly smart and all these things. And where is there room for any originality? Like, where, you know what I mean? Like, they're all so smart. They all seem like they know the same things, but this way they could make Reed Richards different and unique, because he would have this not just like Suri smart or Tony Stark smart or Hank Pym smart, but like also just world knowledge. Like, he would know Annihilus. He'd know like all of these things of the bigger Marvel universe, and that he could bring back to the world. And I guess they could kind of play up that, you know, they're a family at a time.
Yeah.
And maybe play it up a little bit more than they did with Captain America, because Captain America, they had like little hints of that he's a man at a time, but they didn't really get to play it up too much because of the adventure. But since it is a family and they have to do family dynamics with the Fantastic Four, it seems like it would lend itself more to that.
Yeah, and we talked about it before. They tried to play this weird family beat in Endgame that really does feel Fantastic Four oriented. Because that is the Fantastic Four's whole thing. They're literally a family. And I think in Endgame they even say, like, we're a family, and it's like, Avengers have never been a family, really.
No.
That beat doesn't really feel like it even belongs.
The Justice League are more of a family. Like, they hang out. They seem like they're more that wholesome type. Like, the Avengers always seem like they're just too volatile. Like, you know, and they're also way too powerful and have too much happening to just hang out, you know, at Avengers Mansion and, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you know, watch the monitor for the next catastrophe or whatever.
They're not, like, spending time with each other in that same manner. And I don't know, they got their own stuff going on. They're not a family. Like, I feel like Fantastic Four would be interesting. They have more of a natural dynamic, I guess, and natural drama that would come out of that.
Well, yeah, because there's domestic things that are happening all the time that you have to dramatize. So, like, the kids, are they going to go to public school? How has the world changed? Well, I guess they don't have Franklin yet, or if they come back, maybe they could already have the kid. But delve into the difference of 1964, even raising kids and being a family and how it is now. I don't know. It seems like there's a lot of things you can do, man at a time or family at a time, and you can do even with Captain America or like Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel, I don't even understand why they did it. It doesn't even seem to lend itself to any storylines or anything like that.
Yeah, she's from the 90s, which really weren't that long ago.
Yeah.
There's like different technology and stuff now, but even culturally, we are a little different, but it's not the same as being from the 50s or 60s, which is vastly different.
Well, also Carol Danvers doesn't seem like the kind of character that she even wants to hang out with humans. Like she's like the human experience is beyond her.
Yeah, she doesn't seem particularly invested, and she doesn't really have any like relationships to anchor her where it feels like anything was lost from her being gone. Whereas opposed to if you do that Fantastic Four idea, they're very much in a place where everything would be affected.
Yeah, and the cool thing about the Fantastic Four coming back is they could play upon, and they kind of did with Captain America, but even more so, like the historical aspect. First family in space that were lost. Whatever happened to them, and then they come back, and then everybody's like, what the hell happened?
Yeah, like, would people even now remember that family disappeared? Like, would they be like, holy crap, that's them? Like, how would that affect their place in the world?
Well, two of the Fantastic Four were always more celebrity-oriented than, like, Captain America and these other characters, so they always had more of a public face. So one of the ways that you can play that public face up is if they were already celebrities in the 60s. You know what I mean?
I like that.
So when they come back, they're actually, they had a successful trip. Even more so than what was initially planned.
I like that. Do you have any casting? Like, do you have an ideal person that you could see in any of those roles?
I only have one. Jessica Alba.
Oh God, no.
as Johnny Blaze.
Ooh, okay.
Johnny Storm.
Johnny Storm I feel like is the hardest one to cast.
I think they should get Chris Evans.
I mean, I think he already has some prior engagements in the Marvel Universe. I don't know, he might be booked up.
All I know is they better not mess up Ben Grimm.
Again.
It's not that hard, people. Stop with the mocap and trying to make them look too human. Make this guy look like do a cool design. Make him look like the original comic book design. It's still the best.
Yeah, he has like an interesting head shape and stuff that's really iconic, and so far none of the movie versions have even remotely tried to adapt that, which I think is kind of strange.
Yeah, the kind of Frankenstein-y kind of forehead ridge.
Yeah, like the forehead, thick brow kind of. They haven't really tried to translate that at all for some reason. I mean, I don't know. Have you seen the last Fantastic Four movie? Because I haven't.
No, but I was like one of the last people to sign off on it because I thought that instead of going out to space and going into some kind of interdimensional travel, I thought was a neat idea. So I actually liked that idea, and I liked the idea that maybe Doom was from that world, like he wasn't from like our world. And I don't know, I never saw the movie, so I don't really know how it played out. I know that it was pretty horrible. I didn't necessarily like the casting. That kid from what was the drummer movie where he was the
Whiplash.
Was he
right.
Mr. Fantastic?
Yeah, he was Reed Richards, which I don't know about that casting.
Yeah, I don't even know how I feel about that guy as an actor. He's not bad, but I don't know if there's some people that you don't have anything against, but you don't want to see them as a lead for 2 hours. Like, I just don't want to watch the guy for 2 hours. I know it sounds bad, but
he's a strange looking, but not very visually interesting looking person. Not to be mean. Like, he's strange looking and yet very, very, like, average and not compelling.
Yeah.
Because they're peculiar looking people that are just interesting to watch.
Like Steve Buscemi, I would rather
Oh,
watch
yeah.
for 2 hours. Like I would rather watch that guy for 2 hours than this other guy.
He has an interesting emotive face. Like,
And maybe it's a personality. I don't know. There's just something about that guy that I don't really care for.
even in Whiplash, I didn't think he was particularly charismatic, or even that interesting, to be honest, as a lead. That's not a bad movie by any means, but I didn't think that he was, his performance was particularly unique in any manner, I guess.
Yeah. There's some motivational stuff I had problem with that movie, but overall, I thought it was okay.
Yeah, it's the best way to describe it. It's a very okay movie. It has its moments.
I was like, how bad do you want something? You're gonna take that kind of abuse from that guy? Like, all right, you guys. I'm a musician
And a drummer at that.
and I draw and I write and everything. I would never go through that kind of crap to study with some abusive a-hole like that, because I would have enough self-confidence to know that I could probably teach myself those things. Like, most of this stuff, like drumming and drawing and things, it's like you have to put so many hours in. Like, you invest so many hours to become proficient at something. There's really no shortcuts. And most of the stuff, like, as far as reading music or like learning how to draw or things like that, that stuff is so well documented. Like, there are so many good books and things out there, that there's no reason. You know what I'm talking about, Taylor. That guy that was teaching him, that guy was so abusive. Like,
To a ridiculous degree.
yeah, to a cartoon comic book degree. And I'm like, I've wanted things really, really bad in my life, and I still do it. Like Black and White, I want to be a success and all those other things. But I don't know. I have enough self-worth that I'm not going to make a pact with some hack devil. You know what I mean? To make it come true.
I mean, he was just like a college professor as well. I know he had his own band and stuff on the side, so he had a reputation. But yeah, it's like, I don't know.
What was his reputation? He wasn't even that, like, he wasn't like, this was the premier drummer of our time or anything like that. He was still just a teacher.
Yeah, because maybe if they'd established that this guy, like, in the course of the movie's logic, maybe he was, like, known for being, like, the best drummer. Like, he had, like, a crazy reputation where that guy just looked up to him to, like, a weird degree, almost like a John, like, Lennon-type musician. Like, people just loved him. I don't know. But then they couldn't do that because why would he be a professor?
Unless that became kind of the story point where, that guy has some kind of internal demons and was self-destructive as well. Like, they did, like...
This is why Art and I work well together, by the way. We're already re-pitching Whiplash.
Well, I'm also going to bring in a League of Their Own because, like, that Tom Hanks character, he was, like, a sports figure of note.
But he was troubled.
But he was troubled. He was an alcoholic. He had some carousing problems. He had some internal demons. And those demons are what stopped him from one, succeeding in the time, where he had a chance to make history. But two, it was getting in his way contemporarily speaking. So he was a guy that was basically on the road to some kind of self-awareness and redemption. Yeah. So, you could play that if that drummer, was more of like that type.
And they end the movie, spoiler alert, on the note that the lead character basically impresses his mentor out of spite. But his reward really was just impressing that mentor, because he was out of school by that point. And then he ends up playing with him in his band and kind of like working to impress him, which is really odd because that implies that the reason he was following that guy, the professor, was purely to impress the professor. It wasn't like he was drumming to...
be a good drummer, just to be a good drummer.
Yeah, exactly. Because, like, even when he was done with school, he still sought that guy out and pursued impressing him. That's a weird implication that his sole drive was to impress that particular person.
Yeah.
which is weird. Because it's not like he got into drumming to impress that particular person. He already had that interest.
Yeah, do you have a love of drumming, or are you living and putting yourself to that kind of hell just to impress that guy?
And speaking of cartoonish, like, he formally leaves his girlfriend because he feels like he doesn't have time to dedicate to her because he wants to drum. When they just could have easily made the girlfriend, like, leave him because he doesn't have any time for their relationship. And then he realizes later, like, man, I sacrificed that relationship for this. But instead he formally breaks up with her and lays it out on the line that he can't have distractions.
Yeah, that kid was equally as much of an a-hole as the teacher.
Yeah, he really was.
Maybe that was the point. I don't know.
Maybe that's why he did make a good Reed Richards. I don't know.
I never thought Reed Richards as an a-hole, though.
I think they later started writing him in a really weird way. Pixel brought up that, or is it James? Did you bring it up? No, James said that there's some incarnation where Reed Richards is a pretender and he stole all of Doom's tech patents that weren't entrusted to him. Yeah, I don't like that idea personally. It doesn't really work.
He's just a thief?
Well, because then how do they explain that he's genuinely a really intelligent person, though?
Well, see, the reason I hate these ideas is then why is there a book called The Fantastic Four? Why is Reed Richards cool?
Yeah, why are we following Reed Richards if he's just,
This is the very reason I don't really care for, and it's kind of an interesting story, but I just don't think that he deserves any kind of status, is Booster Gold. Booster Gold just stole his powers. Like, he wasn't altruistic. It wasn't earned. It wasn't anything. He stole it and then left his timeline to our timeline and brings nothing really to the table. So it's kind of an interesting premise for a character, but almost more like just like a one shot, like What If kind of story,
Mm-hmm.
But as far as like being Justice League status or any of those other things, it's Booster Gold. Like how would I don't even respect Booster Gold. How would Batman respect him?
Yeah, he stands among a hall of heroes based on being a thief.
Stealing a power.
And unless you're going to play it up that that guy becomes a legitimate hero, and that's kind of like found out, I guess, and changes him, I don't know if he works in like a continuing story type protagonist role.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's definitely, I mean, you can redeem the characters and stuff, but I don't know if you can give him that kind of status, is what I'm trying to say.
As a Justice League type.
Or a Fantastic Four guy or whatever. Like, why would anybody follow Reed Richards? Because the thing is, like, if, as an artist, if I BS my way through a drawing, other artists are going to know.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people know. Like, like maybe novice or whatever, but a true professional would know. So if you said that you were the smartest guy in the world,
geniuses are going to find out real fast that you're not.
Right. It would be so easy to debunk. Like it would be the easiest thing in the world to figure out that guy was full of shit.
And I think Reed as a character, Reed Richards that is, not Ray Blackett, is, I don't know. I feel like he was the target of a lot of, like, how do I put this? A lot of stories villainize him or make him the target of ire because of what he represented at the time.
What do you mean what he represented? Like,
a lot of people had a lot of spite for him because in his original incarnation, he's a little bit Gary Stu-ish, where he's, like, kind of without flaw, but he's supposed to be a genius. And then, like, a lot of writers were like, oh, well, if he's a genius, then, and he's supposed to be the smartest man, he's got to have some crazy character flaws. Like, maybe he doesn't have time for his wife. Like, they try to give him all these really weird flaws to justify his genius. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
well, to
what did he
humanize
sacrifice to be? Yeah. But a lot of them are really, I don't know.
But what you have to remember, like, if you go too far with that character, he's also a father. Like,
He's got a family.
you don't want to make him too much of an F up, because that's more sad than making Daredevil
I know.
a nut. You know, like there's certain characters I think you can do that with, but I think I don't like when they fundamentally change a character too much, period. And I think that's too much of a change. Like, why can't we have that character amongst other characters that are flawed? Like, why can't we have, you know what I mean? Like, why does everybody have to be to that extent flawed
Yeah.
to make them interesting? Couldn't they just exist with flawed characters?
Yeah, like, it would make them more, well-rounded as well. Like, how deep do their flaws have to freaking go?
Yeah, it's like I said about Superman. Superman doesn't have to be dark or flawed. Superman just has to be an example. So if you want a contemporary world, just put Superman in a contemporary world, but just have him not share the same attitudes. Have him have like a little bit of an old-fashioned attitude. That's why his barometer always, is true, or whatever the idea is, but that he basically becomes the mirror and the inspiration for rest of society.
Yeah.
Because he's an example. Like, I thought that's kind of what the point of some of these, not all superheroes, but the more inspirational ones. And I think that Superman's one. I think Mr. Fantastic's one. I think Captain America's one.
And if you want to read a messed up Reed Richards, you can always just read Black Science.
Oh, yeah.
That guy's a straight up piece of shit.
Yeah. Well, there you go. There's a really flawed, Reed Richards.
Yeah, that story pretty much is, like, he doesn't have the stretching powers, but that story pretty much is, like, what if Reed Richards was an insufferable a-hole? James says, the Fantastic Four books of Doom retelling his origin in 2005 established as Marvel canon that Reed patented tech he developed with Doom as solely his own out of college. Marvel was starting to deconstruct all their heroes and destroy their families, etc. then.
Well, there you go. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, these things have like 40 years of history, so I try not to judge too harshly because it's kind of a moment in time. But just think about this. Like, this is how old comics used to be, you guys. I started the show, 35 years vet. I've been doing this for a long time. Comics used to say you had like a 5-year period, like of an age, like between the age of 5 to 13 or whatever it was, that you had to read comic books. And then as a societal thing and as a developmental thing, you moved on.
Yeah.
And so then you started reading like adventure novels or whatever, and then, eventually, real, what's considered, literature after that. So that's kind of your evolution. You read like little storybooks as a kid, then you read comic books, and then you start reading more like, your Jules Verne, action adventure stuff, and then you progress into, real literature. And so...
and that's when comics were normalized as well, like you're saying.
Right, but then just think about this: if you're that kid and that's the same rule that that's going on, that becomes your Reed Richards. That becomes that's your generation's Reed Richards.
Yeah.
To look back on, oh, he's this dark guy or whatever, and that's why I think as caretakers of these characters, I'm not really in the mainstream anymore, but the caretakers of comics and these things need to be aware of. They need to be careful with these things, because that is going to define somebody's. Hopefully kids are still reading the comics. I think more kids need to start reading comic books. I think it's definitely a juvenile, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I just mean it as it's a youthful endeavor. It's things that kids do, and I think we should try to be more aware of that, and I think that we should probably tailor some of these books a little bit more towards that age group.
Oh, agreed for sure.
and not pander too much of the more adult, because I think it becomes a slippery slope, and also I think the people that are reading comic books now, I don't think they have as much of a problem as the industry likes to make it seem like. That, oh, they want more adult situations. They want to see Batman kill, or like they want to see bloodshed. And I don't know if anybody's truly clamoring for this stuff. I'm sure there are some people that are, but I don't think I don't think it's widespread. I think they like comic books because they like the stuff of their youth. They like those good action adventure stories.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think aiming them towards... I think that deconstructing the character can be interesting as a like creative exercise, but maybe that should be like an Elseworlds type tale.
I agree. Like Killing Joke, do an Elseworlds Batman. Year One, do an Elseworlds Batman story. I have no problem with those things.
Yeah, there's ways for those stories to still be told. But, is that the universe you want everything to primarily exist in and be held up to?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Like, this is what we want to read about every month. Like, I don't know. There's certain worlds that are better for one-shot stories and certain concepts, like you said, that lend themselves to that more. Because I think you very aptly put it that way. Like, that is somebody's Reed Richards. Like, any kid that read that in 2005, that is... the Reed Richards of their reality.
Yeah, he's a thief. And then you want people to start sympathizing with Doom?
Yeah, because that makes Doom right. Like, he was mistreated by him and got stolen from.
It fundamentally changes the entire dynamic of the book and the characters and things like that.
Yeah, it puts it in a very strange place.
And to humanize a character by saying they're a thief? What are you saying about society? That's weird, man. Like, I would never do something like that. Like, why would you... Oh, that's the human experience? That's the universal human experience, to steal somebody's invention and then claim it as your own? You know what I mean? How's that relatable?
Yeah, I would hope that that's not relatable to most people.
I think it's less relatable. And if you're some wackadoo saying that that's relatable, then you might be a nut. Like, if that's what you think reality is.
Yeah, it's pretty cynical. I can't think of anybody I would cast. If they did... bring in the Fantastic Four. They have the rights to them, so I don't see why they wouldn't bring them in sometime soon for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But would you want like a younger Reed Richards or like a Family Man type Reed Richards?
For growth, I would like a Reed Richards that is infatuated with Sue Storm.
So still during like their dating phase.
Yeah, the hard thing about like if the story I was talking about, it would be hard to do because it would all have taken place off panel, like off screen, and I don't think it would feel as good. Like, oh, they fell in love while they were out there. They might have even had a kid, or like stuff like that. Like,
yeah,
I just think that would be too much of a cheat.
Yeah, because you don't get to see any of it develop.
Yeah, so I would say for the story I pitched, it probably would work better that, not that they're old, but maybe late 20s, early 30s.
James says, the biggest problem with mainstream comics is that all the writers are destroying and deconstructing comic book heroes with 60 years of histories rather than building anything.
That's a good point.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's easier. It's easier to scrutinize what came before than to really be a part of building what comes next.
Well, to back up, I think best example to me in comics was Frank Miller's Year One with Daredevil. He tore that character down and then built the character back up. But the thing is, deconstructed in a way that was always designed to rebuild the character. So it was kind of like a what if, but a what if that had a plan to get back to square one. You know what I mean? Like, so you take a year run of a book and you basically deconstruct a character, you tear them down, and then you spend the next year not just tearing them down, but then rebuilding them.
Focusing on what kind of made them...
Right. And then when you bring them back, they're stronger and more resolved and more tougher than ever before. But you bring them back to kind of square one. So...
That works with a character like Daredevil, too, that at the time it had a lot of stuff happen. That kind of brought him out of who he was anyway.
Yeah, so it almost becomes like a what if. You can play up like, well, what if, this happened, and what if that happened? And then you still play it in current time. Like, these things are happening to this character. This isn't an Elseworld story. But it's always designed to get them back to the same Daredevil they were the year prior. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're just more resolved. They're more... And as long as you don't compromise too much along the way, which he didn't, then you get this cool kind of deconstructed character. You get to find out what really motivates Matt Murdock and what's his role in the Marvel Universe and all those other things. And I don't know. I thought it was amazing.
I think that's the best way to tackle something like that, if you actually have a love for it.
And I use this as an example, and these are my favorite examples of reconstructing, is Gesundheit.
Thank you. Sorry, I had to sneeze.
Is they did it with Monk, and some TV shows have figured this out. And sometimes they'll do it for a single episode, and sometimes they'll do it over several episodes. Where, like, let's just say it's Monk. I don't know if you guys remember the Tony Shalhoub highly celebrated TV show, but he's the dysfunctional detective or whatever it was. And so I don't need to go into too much because this could, describe any of these things. Is he has this past, this thing that motivates him. So what these shows are is they're based on, this is like, okay, Batman's parents were shot, and that's what inspires him to be Batman. That's what inspired Bruce Wayne to be Batman, okay? So then, let's just say this is serialized, it's a comic book or a TV show or whatever. So then what they do is every one of these episodes, they kind of play on that premise, like, what motivates him? He's damaged. Like in the case of Tony Shalhoub, he can't move forward. His wife was killed. He had this wonderful life, and he just can't move forward. And that it always haunts him, and that the death never sat right with him. He always felt like there was something wrong. There was something he could fix. There's somehow he could bring the murderer to justice. Because he was a cop, and all of this stuff. So what they did, and what they had been building in the episodes, is that it's kind of sad, and it becomes one-trick pony, like Gilligan's Island, like, they never get off the island. You know what I mean? Like, it's every episode's exactly the same. And the character just starts feeling weird, like the character never grows and they never change or whatever. Or they never, nothing ever seems to change. So what they did in the episodes is they built up through that whole season that he was getting better. Like, he was actually doing things like that, like uncharacteristic of himself. He seemed like he was getting better and better. Like, he was finally getting on with his life. And so then you had this whole season of almost kind of like an Elseworlds tale, right? This is very uncharacteristic of this guy to do X, Y, and Z. And so then what they did is they just rocked him back down to the bare bones foundation at the end of the season. I forget what the how they did it. I don't remember the details of it, but they brought him back down. So then it seemed like for that year you got to see kind of this different guy.
What if he was changed? Like,
right.
Can he? Would he stay that way? Would you want to watch him that way? Like,
but the thing, like with the comic book and with like an ongoing TV show or whatever, you can't really inject real change.
No,
because you just can't. Like the
story's over.
Yeah, because the story never has an ending.
If
Like-
it's something
like Batman-
serialized,
Yeah, Batman never has an ending. There's no end to the story. So all these stories have to kind of keep going somehow. So you have to figure out a way to kind of seem like that there's change, but there's not. I've said on this show, like, I had a Batman idea, and it came out of the fact that, like, how come the Joker's never been on trial for murder? And so I thought what would be interesting is to actually do a murder trial with the Joker, and then Batman and Gordon have to keep the Joker alive to stand trial. So that's kind of the idea in a nutshell. But then Batman finds out, and the Joker's been telling him, "I didn't do it." Like, he actually says, "I didn't do it." And so then, of course, yeah, the Joker didn't do it. Har har. That's very funny. But then Batman actually finds out that the Joker didn't do it. And so now he has to prove the Joker's innocence
and protect him.
And all of Gotham City is against him. Like, they can finally see this guy in the light of day. The news is broadcast, like his face in the trials, and it's the most public trial or most covered trial in the entire world, and all of this stuff. And then you find out that the Joker didn't do it. So at the end, not that they let the Joker out, because there's all these other murders, and I forget how I resolved it, but somehow the Joker gets away. I don't know if he escapes or if Batman and Gordon have to quietly let him go.
He's got... Oh, that'd be kind of cool. They have to let him go to save his life.
Well, also, he didn't do it. he didn't do the crime. So they could try him for other crimes, but then I don't know how that works. Like, is it like a double indemnity or whatever it is?
I don't know, because you couldn't try him twice for a crime that he's already been found not guilty of, at least.
And then if there's no facts in, like, how do you bring him to trial for the other crimes? Like, I don't know how that would work. But
I don't either.
But anyway, it would be an interesting idea to go. But the thing is that it's all designed to kind of bring a lot of that stuff just back around, because you can't really, I was tired of the Joker just not standing trial. Like, I know he's insane and all those other things, but you have that, and then at the end of the story, there seems like there's a lot of things going on, but it just goes back to the way it was.
Yeah, it goes back to Joker's free. Batman has to deal with him at some point.
Right, but it just becomes an interesting story that Batman had to... It's that one time that Batman actually had to,
protect him.
Defend the Joker.
I think that'd be interesting. And I think we talked about it before, but, like, it's always weird when they kill off characters as if it's something the audience wants to see. Like, people love Batman. I bet they'd love to see him die. And it's like, the wish fulfillment would be like, what if the Joker gets brought in?
Well, that's also where what came out of it is like, yeah, like the joke, there's never any ramifications or repercussions to these things.
What happens if there is? Like...
Well, the main thing was, I was just thinking, like, well, wouldn't there be such a public outcry if they found the Joker and they brought him to trial? Like, that could they actually, like, reverse the legal system to make that guy stand trial? For all the heinous crimes that he has done and, and all that stuff. Especially,
like, in modern comics where he's done some pretty heinous shit.
Yeah.
Like, he's quite literally blown innocent people up on a freeway, and it's like, I guess they're just gonna let that go, like...
Yeah, they kind of make him more, like, he's more of a psycho killer. Like, he's more of a thriller horror type of character.
But like you said, for how long would, like, the general public tolerate that? Just him being loose and doing this stuff.
Yeah, because, like, in a real world, if you had somebody running amok in a city like that, I think the best detectives and the best law enforcement would probably go in there and it almost become like one of those like old mobster movies, like Public Enemy #1 kind of thing, and they go after.
Or like the Night Stalker in real life, where the police had to save him because he was getting chased by a mob of angry people.
Yeah.
Which I always loved that story. Like, that's kind of a Batman-esque thing. Like, they had to save his life because he was getting beaten to death by a crowd.
Yeah, I love that. They recognized him there. That's that Richard Ramirez.
I like how they said it started because he was at a grocery store and some Spanish woman's like, "It's that man! It's that man!" And then next thing you know, he's getting chased by a guy carrying hedge clippers trying to stab him as they run.
They beat him up pretty bad from what I remember.
Yeah, his face was all swelled up. Like, he looked like an alien because they had to wrap his head in like a towel. Because the guys in the crowd were just throwing punches at him as he was running. So he looks like a weird gray alien because his face is all swelled up. Just chasing him down the streets. And like, I guess the Joker, I don't know, he's changed a lot as a character over the years, where now it seems like he does just kind of run amok. I think the last Joker story, I was gonna say, I don't remember if you read more of it than I did, that White Knight story. What did you think of that?
I don't really remember it that well, and I don't think I read the whole thing.
I don't think I read the whole thing either. I think it was really hard.
I couldn't afford that's what it was, right? We were at that show with
We tried to buy it.
Yeah. Well, I could have got them all, but I wanted to get one for both of us, and
Aww.
yeah, the early issues were too much. So I don't think we got the conclusion though, I think.
We got the last half of it, but the first issue was like extra expensive. James says, I've been seeing a lot of people use Gesso, Gesso, Gesso,
Gesso, yeah.
Gesso over their inked work lately, and was curious if Art ever used it.
I don't have time, and I don't really know what the purpose of it would be. I guess if you could put it on smooth enough, it would give you a slicker surface to ink on.
I don't know. I was gonna ask what you thought the purpose of that was. If it just smooths the process.
Well, usually they use it with painting, like actual painting on canvases and stuff, because it primes the canvas.
And they sell just like the boards like that, right? Where it's just kind of a smooth board with a white primer on it.
What board?
Don't they have like gesso board?
Probably. I've never heard of like anybody really inking on it or anything like that.
So the answer is no for now.
I'm not against it. I'll try anything once. Once.
Do you have a favorite like inking surface? Just like a smooth kind of Bristol or something?
Yeah, smooth Bristol.
Because I know that some people like really toothy paper and everything, but...
I used to ink Jergens, and when I inked Mark Bagley, it was on a toothy paper. I never liked it.
Yeah. Let's see. James says, the guy used it to do art on the back of a cut-up cereal box.
Oh, he primed the box?
Huh. For what purpose?
He couldn't afford a 2-ply Bristol board.
That's very strange. Hey, Jam Creates is here. He says, hello, people.
Hello, Jam.
What's up, Jam?
Jimmy Jam. Fresh jam. Right, what's the difference between jam and jelly?
Oh, I know. Jam has more fruit pulp in it. and actual fruit pieces and seeds, whereas jelly is more straight up like processed and smashed. I just learned that, actually. It was on that stupid SJW-esque show, that Birdie and Tuca.
Well, I'm glad I asked.
Me too. Now it feels like I didn't waste time listening to that show.
Now you can write the show off.
Like, thanks for teaching me the difference between jelly and jam is.
Have you ever had that Knott's Berry Farm jam and jellies here?
The boysenberry ones?
They have all kinds of flavors, but yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot they have a brand. I used to get that all the time.
Yeah, it's good.
It's really good.
We have a amusement park called Knott's Berry Farm, and I guess it used to really be a berry farm. So they still have the jams and jellies in production, and they're really good.
They're so good. They're actually some of the best like jam ever. There's when we went to Utah, what the heck is it called? There's some stupid berry that was famous where we were. It was called like something stupid like Bristleberry or something.
Poison.
Bringleberry? I don't remember what
Dingle.
it sounds like dingle, but I can't remember what it is.
All I can think of is that Christmas was, I'm Dingleberry, I'm Jingleberry. Remember the elves?
Oh yeah.
I'm Shingleberry.
Kringle, Dingle, and
Wendingle. They all had words. Their names all rhymed.
this is like the third time we've talked about that Santa Claus is coming to town.
Oh hell, we talked about it the other day. I don't think it was even on the thread. Like,
Because we said it's like, that's how Solo was. We're just like, that's how he got the Millennium
oh, that's
Falcon.
right. That's what we were.
That's how he met Chewie. Like every Star
Like the
Wars.
little kids' voiceovers, yeah. Somebody should do that. That would go viral.
That'd be hilarious.
So that's where he got the scar. Remember they did that in Indiana Jones?
Did they?
Yeah.
They explained the scar?
Yeah, with the God, this is starting to sound like the conversation we had before. It was the River Phoenix.
Oh, yeah. I forgot they showed him as
He-
a young
he-
Indy.
Because he was on like a circus train, and there was a whip for the lion or something, and he picked it up and he whacked himself in the chin.
That's how he got that scar. And the whip. Yeah, Indiana Jones makes using a whip look way easier than I think it actually is. I told you my friend's splitting her back open using a whip, right?
Oh my gosh.
She like threw it over her shoulder dramatically to do it, and then I guess when she whipped it forward and back, it like whipped her own back.
Oh gosh.
Let's see. Ghost of Henry says, Art, do you always start with the details, then go to the big blacks, or do you ever go the other way? Is it better?
What I usually do is I structure it all up, so you guys didn't see me just outlining stuff, and then I usually go from that to the more detail, and then I fluctuate between detail and backgrounds, and then I usually do faces last. I think I like to warm up before I go into the faces, because you just don't want to screw those up.
That's for sure. The faces are key. That's the best script description of Solo I've ever heard, says Jam Creates. Yeah, that's what it sounded like. It was, that's how he got the name Solo.
We named the dog Indiana. So that's how he got the name Indiana. In this case, it actually worked, though.
Yeah, that's actually like a positive example.
'Cause that movie is so good.
Is that Raiders, or was that
That's the one with Sean Connery.
yeah, Raiders of the Lost Ark, right?
That's the first one.
Is it?
It's the one with the Grail. That's the one with the dad.
I think that I gotta look up all the Indiana Jones movie. You said that was your favorite one, right?
I think the first and that one are my favorite. Almost equal, actually.
They're pretty good. I heard a rumor, I don't know if you heard this too, Art, that they were going to start a new series of Indiana Jones, but they were going to cast Chris Pratt, which I absolutely hate as an idea.
As a series or as a new movie?
As a new movie.
No, Harrison Ford's involved.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to see...
Chris Pratt might be in the movie, but it's going to be Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones. There's no way they could do that.
That would be absolutely terrible.
I don't, as long as Harrison Ford's alive, I don't think he'd allow it.
Ooh.
He's very territorial about
The Last Crusade is the
That's
movie
it,
I
yeah.
meant. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. We were trying to figure out the title. I think it might have been another video, and I think I also said Raiders of the Lost Ark again. The Ark threw me off because I was like, Ark of the Covenant? The Holy Grail! Like, I don't know why.
The Holy Ark?
The Holy Ark of the Covenant?
I like the old knight that was guarding the Grail.
You chose poorly.
Poorly. You chose wise.
My mom used to say that all the time when selecting wines.
White wines.
Because whenever she would have like groups and stuff, where she'd like, do you want white or red? And they'd say red. She'd go, you chose poorly. As she poured it in, because she hates red wine.
Red wine is an acquired taste.
When I was like, I'm sure everybody went through this. When you were a kid, did you think wine was going to taste like delicious grape juice?
Yeah, like Welch's.
Yeah, and then you're like, ew, it tastes like jelly vinegar. Why is this a thing?
And then you realize when you do some history on it, it's like, yeah, it was the only way that people in the past stayed hydrated because the water was all freaking jacked up.
Yeah, because wine's not going to go bad for
Right.
like years.
Exactly.
Here we go. So we have Indiana Jones and the Lost Ark, The Temple of Doom, The Last Crusade, The Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and the other one is titleless thus far, which is it's slated for 2021.
Yeah, it's gonna come out soon. The thing about that Crystal Skull, that is a Doc Savage story that Denny O'Neil wrote. I did the book Doc Savage with Howard Porter for DC some years ago, and so I was doing some research, and there is a story identical to that Crystal Skull story.
Really?
Yeah, that Doc Savage goes on.
I think you told me this before that it was like pretty much identical.
It's identical. Like, it's practically the exact same story.
Who is the Jam has a really good idea for keeping the Indiana Jones thing going. He says, heard of a funny idea. Indiana Jones finds the fountain of youth and falls in. When he comes out of the water, it's Chris Pratt or another actor. They could just keep it going that way.
The thing is, I don't have anything personally against Chris Pratt. He's no Harrison Ford.
No. There is an actor that I thought could play a young Harrison Ford, but...
What is that? It's that guy from, the guy that went crazy, right?
I don't... Oh, God, I hope
The
he
guy
didn't go
from
crazy.
Transformers. with
Oh,
the flag.
no, not poor... Well, he could have at one point, yeah. You're talking about poor Shia LaBeouf who went insane.
Oh, he so could have done it. I'm being facetious.
I don't know. They
There's
tried
no
to
way
groom
he could have
him.
done it. They were trying to groom him, definitely, though.
He's not a bad actor. He's just insane.
What
like,
was that thing
like
where he's
literally.
yelling, where he's yelling? God, what was that meme?
I'm trying to think of what he...
He's just screaming like, ah!
Do it!
Do it, that's it, yeah, do it! Oh, holy shit.
Everybody wants Anthony and Gruber to play a young Harrison Ford, and I just looked up his picture, and now I see why. Apparently he's pretty good. He was in a movie called Age of Adeline that I've never seen, and did he play a young Harrison Ford at one point? I guess, and that's why they're all saying it, because he does look eerily like him, actually.
Well, you've heard that there's going to be another Blade Runner, right?
Okay, but is that other Blade Runner actually going to follow, is it following after the last one, or what is it exactly? Do you know?
I don't know any details, but the only reason I brought it up, not to totally derail everything, was I think, and I totally misjudged that guy, that Ryan Gosling. Is that the guy's name?
Yeah.
He's good.
No, he's very good. I was,
He could, I don't know about being Indiana Jones, but he could kind of, I think he could play that kind of role.
he's a very good actor. Like, I know he's kind of been cast in some, like, romance stuff, which maybe is why I was set against him. Like, oh, whatever, it's tacky, but
Same,
he's
yeah.
very good.
Yeah. He can play that stoic. Like, he can play a really stoic guy.
Jams.
Like a quiet toughness.
Yeah, he definitely could. He has an intensity about him. Jam says, I want to see Indiana Jones and the Brass Monkey.
Brass monkey. The funky monkey.
I think, yeah, that movie, back to Blade Runner before we get...
I'm sorry, that's a slow burn.
It took me a minute.
The brass monkey. Okay.
I think as far as Blade Runner goes, he was... That last movie, I really enjoyed it.
Oh, I thought it was so good. And I'm even more excited or happy that Ryan Foucher, what was his name? The writer, the guy that started the whole Ball in the Day, God, Hampton Foucher or something, the writer, he actually wrote the first draft of the new movie. And you know that's that part with the pot on the stove? You know when he goes in the opening sequence in the new movie? That's a sequence from the original Blade Runner script.
Oh, really?
The original, yeah.
That's interesting. They, I don't know, I feel like they really captured the tone of that first Blade Runner pretty well.
The only thing that the new Blade Runner didn't do is really create a great villain.
Yeah.
I thought she was okay, but she was a little over the top, and she wasn't quite as complex as Rutger Hauer's character.
Yeah.
And she didn't seem like that she had, like, you kind of felt a little bit like a little bad for her, like, that she was kind of tormented or tortured.
Yeah, I liked that about her.
But I wish they would have played it up a little bit more, so you kind of... It was a little bit more focused, I guess. Because I think she would have been a more interesting character. And the way they the way they ended up doing it is... I kind of split it with, what's his name? The guy who played the Joker, Jared Leto.
I feel like he was the weaker of those two characters. Like... I didn't feel like he was that interesting, where I thought that she was kind of intriguing and interesting.
Right. But I just wish they would have either developed one or the other. Like,
yeah.
They just kind of... They both seemed kind of not that cool.
Because they didn't really get to elaborate on either one of them because the part was almost split.
Yeah, they have him, like, they had this big scene where he just kills the one... replicant that he's trying to create to be able to reproduce, and you're just like, this is really weird. Like it's weird, but it's not very character oriented, or it doesn't
feel like it serves a purpose.
It doesn't move the plot along, and it just makes him seem like a petty, like, a-hole.
Yeah, Ghost of Henry says Jared Leto was bad.
Yeah, the character just wasn't... neither one of the characters was resolved very well. And then there was a little bit of a subplot that it did pay off. That was kind of cool with him remembering stuff. But it was the memories of Harrison's daughter.
Yeah.
The hidden toy and all that stuff. I thought that was pretty creepy and weird.
It was interesting.
And it was I'm sorry.
Oh no, go ahead.
And it was a great red herring, or whatever they call that.
Yes, exactly.
Because it was fairly effective. Like, I was thinking, holy shit.
Is he real?
Is he real? Like, I thought, like, it actually worked. And for a movie to be able to do that, that's a pretty big compliment. You know what I mean? Because not a lot of movies... Yeah, it was
very successful.
Not a lot of movies can pull that off.
And I don't know about you, but, like, I wanted him to be the kid. Like, when they, spoiler alert, revealed that he wasn't, I was actually really disappointed for him.
I know. That's why
I was like, man, I wish he was the kid. Like, I feel so bad for him.
Yeah, because...
Like, what would you do?
He's so tormented. And I like that they kind of made him tormented, but it was very low-key. Like, he wasn't a guy like... Oh, I'm really sad I can't get it along, like, move forward in life and, that type of stuff. It was just more like his day-to-day life. Just seeing his life was sad.
Yeah, it was.
And then when he sees his girlfriend, that big sign, like he had to have known it existed, but for some reason,
It was at that moment in the story.
yeah, that he was just like, I don't really need to be reminded of this.
Oh my god, you feel so bad for him.
And it's such a violating way to see your girl, because he's naked, right?
Yes, so it's like totally a product.
Yeah, it's like, oh god, that's so humiliating.
It's like the worst way of saying, like, this isn't even personalized to you. Like, this is just like this weird product.
Yeah, and this is something like you like to think of like your sex life as being
Private,
very private,
and special, but it's like...
yeah, and unique. Yeah, and it's like, no, there's thousands of other people that have the same experience with your girlfriend.
Yeah, like, it's so... It helps, like, give a really solid tone to the world that they live in. That it's kind of like an overcrowded, lonely world.
Well, he's also a replicant, so I guess that humans can interact with these things too, but I thought it was very fitting that...
It's for, yeah.
Yeah, that he... Because he could have had... They showed time and time again that he could have had a human relationship, but he chose not to.
And he had a strange complex around being real as a concept.
Yeah, there was a lot of like underlying stuff going on. And I like that type of movie where you can think about it, and the more you think about it, the more you come up with cool resolves.
Yes.
Unlike Endgame, where you just get a headache, but, you know, that kind of idea.
James says, Art's pencils and inks are really looking sharp on this page. I hope the colorist is on the ball. You and me both.
Oh my gosh, the colorist is on the ball. When we crack the whip,
it works.
It works. It works very well. No, he's really good. But there is a lot of back and forth. And the best thing about Perea, the colorist, is that he's willing to work with us. And that's saying a lot, because we are taskmasters.
Yeah, he's a very collaborative person to work with, which is kind of essential for working with Hack Shack.
Yeah.
We want the best that the book can be.
The best.
Sometimes that's not first pass.
I just think it's my and our way. But thank you for the compliment.
Yes, definitely. Let's see. Blade Runner 3. May he run into the blade. Aww.
I don't want no running into the blade. I just don't know what they're going to do.
I don't either. I mean, it's an interesting world. I don't want them to go all Matrix on us, is my only concern.
Well, I don't know. Do you bring Harrison Ford back? Do you... The only thing that they left that they can continue is there was this weird underground, which I didn't think was... thought was the least successful part of the new movie, was that weird underground.
Yeah, that felt a little squished in as a
Shoehorned.
story.
Yeah.
It was a little too ambitious. I think it didn't quite mesh with the story they were trying to tell.
But it's the only thing I think that they could continue with, right? As far as like a ongoing storyline.
I think so. I think that's the reason they included it in there. Before I forget, there is an article I just pulled up that it did confirm that Indiana Jones 5 will be in cinemas July 9th, 2021.
Okay.
And it says the studio had projected when Ford and Spielberg missed their 2020 window last summer. So there's no official title as of yet. It remains to be seen whether they're going to make that date of 2021, because apparently Ford has been working on an adaptation for The Call of the Wild, which is supposed to be in December. So that's been taking up his time, which that was a really good book. I'm kind of actually interested in that. And Spielberg's working on West Side Story. So they're both kind of working on other things. And George Lucas is not going to be involved. There was a rumor, I guess, that he was going to be, but they've announced that he's not going to be involved with the next Indiana Jones film.
Well, like I said, and this is, well, it's going to sound really bad, but George Lucas had to have lifted that story from that Denny O'Neil doctor's, what did I say?
Doc Savage?
Doc Savage, thank you. Because
I'm sure he did.
I'm not kidding, man. It's so right on.
Mighty Geek Studio says Blade Runner is a cyberpunk movie to begin with. I mean, it's kind of dystopian, but I guess it fits into the cyberpunk genre. I've come to realize recently that, because I was trying to figure out, like, is black and white considered cyberpunk? Cyberpunk is kind of solely a stylistic look to things rather than an actual genre when you really think about it.
Well, some people say that Blade Runner created the cyber punk movement.
I think it did.
Or at the very least, redefined it.
Yeah, it that's a good way to put it. It definitely redefined it, and it's definitely a big part of what I think cyberpunk visually looks like now in pop culture, especially the world itself pretty much single-handedly created what everybody pictures for cyberpunk settings.
Well, you even have like stuff like Ghost in Shell and some of these cartoons and things that are taking from the first Blade Runner.
The tabletop roleplay game, soon to be video game, Cyberpunk 2077, like a lot of that is based off of Blade Runner's terminology and stuff. Especially that it has a lot of like Asian influences.
Yes. How long have we been going?
We have been going for 1 hour and 51 minutes. We should probably call it soon.
Well, we have the video. We have the big tease. I hope we still have
Ooh.
everybody involved. So
Yeah, actually.
Should we take a break from this and...
Let's do that. So you guys, I know it's been a while.
I'm going to watch this. Wait, I got to get in position.
However, as we teased at the beginning, this is a rip reel for Blackwell. Do you want to explain it, Art?
No, go ahead. I'll just help if I need to.
This is the rip reel that's being presented to test audiences and stuff right now. We got clearance to show it. That's a kind of a little pitch for what Black and White is.
And the rip reel is to get data for streaming services. So like Hulu and Netflix and Disney's doing a new one. And what else? There's a couple other ones, right?
Yeah, there's Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime,
Stuff
yeah.
like that. Think like streaming services, long form kind of series.
So it's kind of the start of a journey. Taylor and I have been putting together ongoing pitches for Black and White if it was serialized, like on a Netflix type of platform. And it really intrigues me because I think it's the closest thing to comic books. I think it's even better than TV because TV you have to wait a week. With streaming services, you can actually binge watch, so you could sit and watch all the episodes. And if you do it right, where one ends, the other one could begin, just like true cliffhangers. And I'm a big fan of cliffhangers. And if you guys want a doozy of a cliffhanger, wait till you read the first Black and White, because you're going to get a doozy of a cliffhanger. So, did we set this up properly?
I think so. Are you guys ready?
What's the company? We should have got the company's name that's doing this.
The company is Binge Labs.
Binge Labs.
Put this together.
Yeah. So, hopefully the data came through good because we haven't got it yet.
Yeah,
They've
waiting.
compiled it. So, hopefully it came in strong. So, when we go pitch this in Hollywood, we can not only have a killer pitch, a killer comic book that you guys helped fund, by the way. Thank you so much. But we'll also have market data, which is really what they look at. And you guys, thank you so much and hopefully we can get closer to 70K before we close the window on Black and White, because the higher the numbers we can get on the book as far as sales, these things all look good in Hollywood. So if we can get this rip reel, good buzz on that, and then we have we already have great sales. Thank you guys so much. As far as a crowdfunded book, 62K or wherever we're at is really, really respectable numbers.
If people pay attention to these numbers, guys, when it comes to these pitches, it means a lot.
Oh my gosh, it's almost their complete bottom line. But then with good product, which is the comic book, and then, like I said, with the data, the market data, hopefully we can come in there and make a good splash. So, without further ado, here is the video. So that's it. So what they do is they compile like video footage from other successful type properties that are similar to what you're pitching, and they put a rip reel together, so they can kind of, with the comic book and then with something that I guess executives can more relate to, because it's more their language, and then you put big stars and all the other stuff in there, and that's where you get these rip reels. And we helped out a little bit, right, with the writing.
Oh yeah, definitely. I was trying to get this up, see if you guys can see it clear, because somebody said that it was slightly cropped at the bottom. Looks good, nice video. Okay.
Oh well, you couldn't read it. Oh yeah, let's play it again then.
So we'll play it again while we talk about this. Sorry to split the attention here. Let's.
Yeah, if you can't read it, then there's no point to it.
I want to make sure that you guys can read this, because the bottom text is very important. But like Art said, yeah, we wrote it in conjunction, I guess would be the way to put it. Like,
they did a first pass based on the concepts that we gave them, and then we kind of clarified some of the writing to make it more, represent the comic book itself.
Yeah, I'm trying to get this in the best view so you guys can see this full thing here.
Yeah, she's checking back and forth between what you guys are seeing and what our screen is showing.
Because it's actually quite important that you see this bottom text.
Yeah, there's a little bit of reading.
Which I don't know why this is framed up.
It's so weird.
In such a weird manner. I don't want to get you guys like matrixed out on this. Let's see what I can do here.
Could we maybe post it in a tweet as well?
Yeah, we just downloaded this. I'll post a tweet for you guys to see. Here, we'll play this now since you guys actually have a view of it. I didn't realize the bottom of the screen was cropped off for no apparent reason. Alright, let's play this once more through. There we go.
Look at your screen.
Make sure my sound's off. Alright, so you guys can see the full thing.
Cool. Yeah, you can see it. That's me on drums. No, it's not. They did a great job with putting this together.
They did.
And the only place you can get the book?
Indiegogo.
We didn't even plan that. It just came out.
D-Geekart, or Mighty Geek Studio says, looking good, and it confirmed what I said about it having a cyberpunk spy feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely does. There's some kind of Blade Runner feel to the world. But it's kind of a world all its own, and you'll have to read the book to get a full feel of the tone, I think.
Yeah, the one thing that we tried, and it's too hard to do in one of these rip reels, because, we're kind of locked into the visuals and things, and we can't, construct the dialogue or the scenes the way we'd like, or do it at all, is that the tone of this isn't real serious. It's not a real serious tone. Like, it's more of a fun action adventure, kind of more like Indiana Jones, actually, or Big Trouble. It's not quite as broad as Big Trouble in China.
No, Indiana Jones, I think, is a good way to describe the tone, actually. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, or Star Wars, the first three, where there's a lot of fun elements to it. There is some jokey stuff, but it more comes out of character than situational stuff, or just like constructed jokes. But yeah, I thought that was pretty amazing. So should we post it up on Twitter after this so people can see a better version of it? Or
yeah,
or we could do YouTube too, right?
Yeah, I'm wondering if we'd be allowed to post it on YouTube, because then we could sound it off everywhere and you guys could view it whenever you want and let us know what you think. Because you're our target audience as well.
Well, let's do that. Malik said he was done with the with all the marketing research. So.
Never Cold says, dude, that was pretty epic. Well done.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks. That's the reaction we were hoping for. We'll post that definitely right after this.
So yeah, rest assured, guys, we've been moving and shaking. There's been a lot of learning curves and a lot of different hats that we've been wearing, but we've definitely been moving, steadily, slowly but steadily on getting this book to you guys and just making a great product on multi-platforms and all kinds of cool stuff like that. So thanks for all the support. Help keep getting the word out there for Black and White. We're going to be up for at least another month in the shop. So thanks again. And should we wrap this one up, Taylor?
Yeah, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications, and spread the word on Black and White. Oodles and Doodles is also still available. There's very little copies left.
Ooh, let's do a little preview. Don't go yet. Let's get this choreographed.
There's probably less than 100 books left. That's for sure.
Oh, there's less than 50 left. There might only be like 25 left.
25, maybe 20.
Yeah.
It's still available in demand. It's in the link it's on the Black and White in demand store. You can buy both of them together, or you can buy Oodles separate and have it shipped to you ASAP. It's a deluxe, large size hardcover art book. It's Art's first art book, and there's my name, and I.
Well, wait. There's even bigger. Wait. We're like so in your face right here.
Check it out.
There's nothing subtle about that one.
I helped design it. It's the first. I think it was our first technical Hack Shack publishing venture together.
Yeah.
And they make the perfect companion piece. There's actually a little preview to Black and White as a concept in this book that kind of gave you the lowdown on what to expect.
Yeah, there's some stuff in here, Black and White wise. There's some other concepts.
Ooh.
But there's chrono mechanics. There's chrono mechanics. There's Black and White stuff in here.
There we go.
I think there's some never before seen doodles. Wait. That didn't make the grade. Actually, there's a page.
Oh.
I thought there were 2 pages of Black and White.
I think technically there's 2 because the one's like a spread, but I don't know.
Well, I meant 4 pages, because Chrono we did 4.
Oh, right.
Did 4 pages.
Yeah, I don't know why, but you guys will have to check it out. There's a ton of stuff in there. It's a very cool book. This is the only printing of it, and I don't think there's going to be another, so this is your only chance to get a copy of Art's first hardcover art book. So you can get that through the link to the Indiegogo in demand store.
Yeah, and they're signed and numbered, so once these are gone, they're gone.
So don't wait. Besides that, make sure you subscribe to the channel and the other social media, link in the description. Don't forget about the sale on artbytbear.com, and stay tuned for that Black and White video to be uploaded.
Yeah, and if you want to see what the Spidey print that is going to be bundled in with your order, it's on the Art by T Bear site. So if you go in the print section, it's the one with the spider web behind him. So that will be put into your order absolutely free.
Yep, spend $100, you get the free Spidey print, and maybe you'll be one of the lucky people that gets the Spidey print with the remark.
Yes. So thanks, guys, for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out with us. It's been a blast, and we'll talk to you soon.